Welcome in. It is the final drive of the Big Ten Network. We are presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Dave Refson, Howard Griffith, Marcel Reese. What a day. Highly ranked teams in the Big Ten going on the road in the elements. November football. And, man, we had some games go right down to the wire.
We really did. And I think one of the interesting things is some of the teams that actually weren't able to win also showed us what could have been the way they were playing today.
Yeah, I think, again, this is another week where the Big Ten is showing that this is the toughest conference in college football, and it is hard to win games.
It is hard to win. It is particularly hard to win on the road, and we saw a couple teams learn that lesson on Saturday, starting with the number 2 team in the nation, the Indiana Hoosiers, going to Penn State. Nittany Lions obviously winless in Big Ten play, but a team with a ton of talent, and we saw it on Saturday. How about Fernando Mendoza, though, finding Charlie Becker. Charlie Becker had 7 career catches coming in. He had 7 in this game. Elijah Surratt out for Indiana. Becker among those stepping up. Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman hopeful, 18 yards for the touchdown. Indiana on top, 7-0. Early second quarter, Ethan Grunkemeyer finding Trevor Pena. And Pena making the moves. Penn State into the red zone, 43 yards on that play. And then a few plays later, it's Nick Singleton pounding it into the end zone, and we are tied at 7. Early third quarter, 17-7 Hoosiers. Ethan Grunkemeyer batted in the air, and Aiden Fisher.
Got to have those.
Indiana capitalizes with a field goal. Looked to have it in hand, up 20-7. But back come the Nittany Lions. Singleton has not had a great year. In fact, his longest run before this all season was 16 yards. He goes for 59 on this one. He punched it in a few plays later, and Penn State suddenly back in the ballgame within 3 at 2017. Indiana's next drive, Mendoza, a rare mistake. Just his 5th pick of the year. King Mack, the interception. Penn State taking over in IU territory, and they would capitalize. It is Singleton again.
This is the Nick Singleton that we all expected to see early on in this season and throughout the rest of this season. Really showed out today.
His 3rd touchdown of the game. Penn State on top, 24-20. One last drive for the Hoosiers. How about Becker? Fabulous catch. Indiana in the red zone, and a few plays later, you want to talk great catches. How about this one by Omar Cooper?
Probably the catch of the year. Tremendous concentration, hand strength, and eye coordination to get that foot down and make it a touchdown.
Impressive.
Hoosiers take the lead at 27-24. Penn State had one last chance. Grunkemeyer throwing it up, and it is knocked down, and Indiana hangs on to win it 27-24, their first ever win in 14 visits to State College. Jenny Taft got the reaction.
The composure from your quarterback to find Omar Cooper there for that game-winning touchdown. Take me through it.
Refused to lose, basically. Sacked on the 1. Haven't done anything the last 5-6 passes, get no protection, right? Running ball through us, play action pass. No timeouts left. Make a play on second and who knows what, 30 for a first down. Great play in the end zone. Didn't draw it up in the dirt, but I mean, we saw what they were doing, and it's a great throw and catch. And you know what? This was an unbelievable win. I've seen a lot of stuff in my days. I've never seen anything quite like this.
Take me into that final play, the touchdown, and finding this guy, Omar, in the end zone.
First of all, I know we both agree with this. We want to give all the glory to God. Without him, we wouldn't be here right now. And it's so amazing that he's given us this opportunity and platform to do this. There was a late in the game. I threw a pick. You know, that's on me. And the team still had belief. The defense still had belief. The special teams had belief. This guy believed he was open. I missed him a couple of times. But it all came around the end with the glory of God and with such amazing teammates and coaches. We're able to rally and get the win here in a hostile environment against a great team.
How did it feel catching that ball?
Well, it felt amazing. It was a lot that I missed earlier the drive before, and I made mistakes. And I just went to Fernando. I was like, you know, that's my fault. We're gonna get another chance. Our defense is gonna get a stop, and we're gonna go down there and drive and get a touchdown. So that's what we was able to do.
A remarkable final drive there for the Hoosiers. They are 10-0 for the second straight year. They had never been 10-0 in the 136-year history of Indiana football before last year. Now they've done it in back-to-back seasons. And Howard, that drive is one that will live for a long time in the memories of Hoosiers fans. That final drive was really something.
Yeah, I think when you start to look at it in its totality, it just wasn't about the quarterback, but a lot of times it is. But it's a lot of other parts. When you talk about the offensive line, you talk about the backs being able to block to get you to the point where you're able to go out and make plays. It was really significant in this particular game.
Yeah, piggyback on what you're talking about, Howard. There are so many different variables that go into winning football games, particularly in a last drive. They had really clean operation. Fernando Mendoza delivered some phenomenal throws. And on the other side of those throws, on the flip side, you had two fantastic catches by two different playmakers. One in Beck, who we hadn't seen much of him all season. But again, it's next man up mentality for them. You're missing Surratt. This team is a special football team.
I think that's the thing that to me is most impressive, because we talked some about this on Big Ten today during the course of this week of, hey, they were fortunate with injuries last year. They had a few towards the end, some offensive line injuries in the playoff and down the stretch. But this is a team now this year we're starting to see them. I mean, Surratt is as important a player as they have on this IU team outside of Mendoza. But to be able to have players, again, Becker has as many catches in this game as he had in his entire career coming in. We've seen running back Lee Beebe went down early in the year. This team has just responded now, and they have found the right guys to plug in at the right time.
And I think that's the important part. You talk about guys that are plugging in when they need to. They are stepping up and raising their level of play, making catches that you're not accustomed to seeing them make. But I think when you look at what the quarterback is able to do under duress, when he's able to fight things off and really has a chance to lead your football team, this is what it really comes down to. You see him, he's trying to get the snap, pick it up a little bit quicker. Outstanding play. It's 2nd and 17. Again, back in the shotgun. He's under pressure. Has to get rid of that one a little bit sooner than he has to, but he's still calm under pressure. A little bit rushed, but that's okay. He's going to sit in there and continue to make plays. You're talking about coming up with a huge play. That was it right there. And then another opportunity. Pressure in the face. This is what's important. That just happened. What happens the next play? He still has confidence in his guys, holds on, gives his guy an opportunity. You talk about having an opportunity to have a Heisman moment. That's one of his moments right there, and it's going to continue to build as his team wins. But he has done an unbelievable job, not only of leading this team with his arm, but been great as far as being able to extend plays with his legs.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that is he's not the best athlete, but he takes the right opportunities and makes the right decisions when to use his athleticism. I think today we witnessed the first hole that we could possibly see in this Indiana team with the pressure that you're mentioning, Howard, on Mendoza. Yeah. He had a lot of pressure in his face. This is a really good roster for the Nittany Lions. A lot of pressure in his face, but they overcame it with the operation, with the confidence, and the efficiency of their offense.
And they do it on a day where the offense really wasn't clicking. I mean, 326 yards is tied for the fewest this year. Let's give a lot of credit to Penn State.
Yeah.
They have not given up. They played really well in this game. They just, in the end, weren't able to get over the hump there. They did it with a backup quarterback. And this has been a theme. 6 straight losses now, 5 of them by 1 score. I mean, this is kind of the ultimate.
Been right there.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda season for Penn State, but they are 3-6. They will now need to run the table in order to become bowl eligible. So that was the story for Indiana going on the road. Oregon went on the road as well to Iowa, did it in nasty conditions in Iowa City. Kirk Ferentz, Dan Lanning preparing to go head-to-head in this one. Pick it up in the first quarter. Iowa attempting to punt, and the snap goes past Reese Dakin. The punter kicks it out of the end zone, so it is a safety, and the Ducks on the board with the first 2 points of the game. Same score, second quarter. De'Aaron Hill. Ducks ran for 261 yards against the nation's number 10 rushing defense. That touchdown puts Oregon on top 9-0. Now Iowa responding. Mark Gronowski. DJ Vanami. First career receiving touchdown for him, and the Hawkeyes cut it to 9-7. To the fourth quarter we go. It's 15-10 on a 3rd and 5. Gronowski. To Vanami again. Wide open, 40 yards. In Iowa. On the march. Later in the same drive. On a 4th and goal, it's Gronowski's had a rushing touchdown in every game this year. 3 yards on this one. The Hawks take the 1-point lead. They decide to go for 2 to make it a field goal lead. Gronowski finding Kamari Moulton, but after review, pretty clear that Moulton
just outside.
Just a bit out of bounds there. So Iowa on top 16-15. Oregon taking over. Have it around midfield. And how about this throw from Dante Moore, Marcel?
I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. The tightest window you can find, right over the defender's shoulder. It's phenomenal when you teach a quarterback, when that defender has his back turned and his head turned, you aim at that helmet. Dante Moore connected.
And that sets up Atticus Sappington from 39 yards. It is good. Oregon wins at 18-16. Dan Lanning's team is 8-1.
No, you're giving me too much credit, James. We're looking not to sub, to give them an opportunity to sub. We felt really good about Malik in the situation. We had some repeater calls that we can use in 2-minute scenarios. We caught them in man-to-man. We knew that they were going to potentially be aggressive there at the end, and that's the quarterback and the wideout being on the same page of saying, okay, if I get one high, like, here's where I'm going. And Malik went and made a great play. We knew where we were going to utilize our timeouts. I think a lot of people in college football panic and start using timeouts outside the 1-minute mark. That's never been our philosophy here. I think we used them exactly how we wanted to use them there. I think the first one was probably, 23, 24 seconds, right? Kind of in my mind is inside the 30-second mark. We wanted to make sure we reserve one if we needed it for a field goal. Obviously, we had that. And then we want to make sure we have the whole field available, and you don't have to just throw the ball out of bounds. So utilizing that second time out, so we were able to throw the ball in the middle of the field and still have an option there as well. But the guys executed it flawlessly, and then Atticus makes a great kick.
You know, that last drive was outstanding, and it was do or die. I mean, we had basically 4 plays down there from the 10 to either score or not, or, score or go home, basically. And, sometimes that's going to happen. We just, in the last throw they made, throw and catch them. It's just, you talk about a matter of inches. It was a great throw. Guy did a good job bringing it in. TJ had great coverage, and he's been playing his ass off all year. So, sometimes that's football. When you play a team like Oregon, you got to be right there. And, there's nothing easy, So this is the kind of game we were hoping it would be, and we just couldn't quite get it done.
Damaging loss for Iowa. Still has not beaten a ranked team, as you saw this year. Undefeated against unranked teams. They are winless against ranked teams this season, and their playoff hopes seem to have faded out. That obviously not the case with Oregon, but you think about what the Ducks were up against here. First of all, playing a great team in a challenging environment in difficult conditions, and they did it without Decorian Moore and without Kenyon Sadiq. They really had to rely on this run game, Marcel, and it came through in a huge way.
Yeah, when you're playing an Iowa team, you know they're going to try and make you play their style of play, especially in the inclement weather. Oregon made it happen behind Noah Whittington. 17 attempts, 118 yards. What I love about his style of running is he's really patient with his first steps. And Howard, like I know, when you can open crossover and understand what is in front of you, whether it's your offensive lineman or the defensive front, you can play your reads. And he has great vision, nice center of gravity, low center of gravity, and he has phenomenal balance. He stays on his feet, always finishing with his helmet facing forward. And that's what you want out of a back. And this Oregon Duck front really helped him out today.
Yeah, I think you think about their offensive line really doing a great job on that side of the ball, but I thought defensive line also played up. This is a defensive line that sometimes when they get into games like this, they don't get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
They were able to get into the backfield and get pressure on the quarterback to keep them honest, at least from that standpoint, to try to keep the game in control, and they weren't giving up those explosive plays. Iowa makes it tough for you as an offense. The conditions were bad, but Iowa forces you to be methodical with your plays and making sure you're executing, because they'll take the football away or they'll stop you on third downs.
This time of year, Iowa's usually so good, just their third loss in their last 17 November games. That is a really impressive win for Oregon. There was so much talk all week of what a challenging game this was going to be, and the talk was right. It was a really, really challenging game. Now they head home. They get Minnesota on Friday night. Remember, they still have USC. They still have Washington. It's a tough slate ahead for Oregon, but this was as big a win as they could get, certainly given the situation they found themselves in with the injuries. Got to take their hats off to the Ducks. Really impressive on the road. So,
Brock Vereen, Ashley Adamson back with you on Final Drive, and there's going to be a ton of talk coming out of Week 11 about Fernando Mendoza's Heisman moment at Penn State, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But Ohio State fans are like, hey guys, over here, we have 2 guys who should be going to New York City next month. It's ridiculous.
Must be nice to be a Buckeye, and today was just further proof of that.
When you have the most efficient passer in the country throwing to the best receiver in the country, it is just hard to stop. #1 Ohio State at Purdue. This was on Big Ten Network, and it started okay for the Boilermakers. Ryan Brown to Rico Walker. A gain of 30 yards. Boilermakers would get a field goal out of it, so they lead early, 3-0. And here are these two, Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith.
When in doubt, throw to number 4.
Buckeyes on the goal line to start the second quarter, and a couple plays later, C.J. Donaldson punching it in. First of his 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. He's got 39 rushing touchdowns for his career. Buckeyes on top. And what do we say about the deep ball from Julian Sayin to Jeremiah Smith in the pregame?
You cannot place a football better than that. I'm sorry.
Career high 10 catches for Smith, 137 yards. We'll talk about his day in a moment. Brown here looking over the middle. Ooh, tipped. Jermaine Matthews bringing it back the other way. Buckeyes take over with great field position. That defense just continues to dominate. And Lincoln Kienholz, the backup in at quarterback.
Okay.
Takes it in himself. Ohio State able to roll 34-10. They are 9-0. Ryan Day 54-1 against unranked opponents. Here's Brooke Fletcher with the head coach.
What was clicking offensively that you saw just to be able to sustain those drives?
Well, I thought we stayed on schedule for the most part, but I thought really, we converted on 3rd down 9 of 12, and that really kept the drives going. Would have loved to seen us finish off a few more of those drives in a red zone, but I thought our guys played hard, and guys did come up with some big plays. Certainly the turnover was big in the first half, and then a couple of the throws down the field.
Julian, you look so calm and confident out there. How do you feel like you've grown most when it comes to just taking command of this offense?
Yeah, I think just getting more comfortable each and every week. There's a lot of stuff we got to clean up. Nothing was perfect out there today, and definitely some stuff that I want to get better at. But got better today. So
you mentioned getting better at. What stands out to you?
Yeah, I think just being able to not take a sack in the red zone down there and then throwing the interception. A few mistakes that held us back from scoring more points. But I think the offense played well, and a lot of the guys did some good things today.
So Ohio State able to take care of business, Brock, and they do it without Carnell Tate, who was held out for precautionary reasons. They said it wasn't an injury, but he was feeling tight before warm-ups. Jeremiah Smith, we're running out of ways to talk about this man. He had a career day for receptions. You see the numbers behind you, but what stood out particularly to you today about this guy?
The fact that we now have tangible proof, even if he doesn't have a first-round wide receiver on the opposite side of the field, you still can't stop him. Look at this one perfectly placed ball. Watch how he climbs the ladder, goes up and gets that football at the highest point and holds that ball through contact of the defensive back swipe. Another perfectly placed football. Jeremiah Smith outrunning 3 Purdue defenders. And again, here you see the strength of Jeremiah Smith. Catching that football, guys taking swipes of the football. He's too busy getting some yak. One thing you never see with Jeremiah Smith, you never see the football touch his chest. He is a hands catcher, and it seems like an overrated thing, but that is why I can honestly say I've never seen a college wide receiver like him.
He's got 25 career touchdown receptions. He's now tied with Santonio Holmes for 6 on the all-time list at Ohio State. He's just in a continued decline.
And he's 19? How old is he?
He's 19. He's an NFL player trapped in a 19-year-old body. It's ridiculous. One thought on Julian Sayin, because again, 6th game this year, he throws for over 300 yards. This man should be in New York as a Heisman finalist.
The same way that Jeremiah Smith would probably be the first wide receiver taken if he was eligible, the same thing goes for Julian Sayin. There's no critique on him. There's no critique, and this is his first year starting. I would say that the sky is the limit, but there needs to be a metaphor that is above that. The next galaxy is the limit for Julian Sayin. Another monster day.
6th game this season where he did not have consecutive incompletions. So we think that's good. There's a lot more that we could say, but we will send it back to you, Dave.
All right, Ash and Brock, we'll hear from you guys again a little bit later, but let's check out Washington, ranked 23rd in the nation, going on the road to Wisconsin. Badgers yet to win a conference game coming in. Danny O'Neal back in the starting role, and O'Neal, 21 yards, but injured on that play, would need to leave the game on a cart. So they bring in the true freshman, Carter Smith. Now, second quarter, the dreaded
double thump.
Anthony Ward blocks the punt for Washington. Huskies deep in Wisconsin's red zone. And a couple plays later, how about this catch from Denzel Boston?
Denzel's just good. Very hard to stop, especially down in the red zone.
Washington goes on top 10-3. Boston would leave the game later, then came back. Mason Posa, true freshman. The strip sack on Damon Williams. Posa, the fumble recovery, and Wisconsin gets great field position, and then it is Smith. Again, another true freshman playing at quarterback. 10-10 as the Badgers take advantage of the turnover. They got a field goal to go up 13-10, and then the special teams and the defense take them home. Ben Barton blocking the potential game-tying field goal. And then it's another true freshman, Cooper Catalano, coming up with a big play, the stop there on Desmond Roebuck on third down. And then Posa, the huge stop on Damon Williams on a 4th and 6 to seal the deal. Wisconsin ends a 10-game conference losing streak as they swarm the field in Madison. Danny Rogers with some happy Badgers.
What kind of exhale can you take after this win tonight?
A pretty big one for all of us, for a lot of us. So it's been a while coming, so it's great to see.
What can you say about the journey this season to get to this moment?
It doesn't end. We go to our fourth quarterback. I don't know if he tore his Achilles, whatever happened, but they just keep battling. So that's what we got to do.
You debuted your freshman quarterback, Carter Smith. How did he handle this situation?
Well, if you had told me he was going to be playing, I don't know that I would have slept all week, but we had him prepared. Coach Guyton and them guys had him prepared, and he stepped up tonight.
Oh, you know, just domination, grit, football. What this program was missing, apparently, you know, just the grit and, you know, the hard work, and, you know, just me and Cooper. God, man, I love that man. I love that dude with all my heart. You know, he's my best friend. You know, me and Cooper, we dreamed of this when I got here, and we just talked about it every day. You know, our dreams are coming true, and yeah, I just gotta thank God, bless God, man.
Let's give you a sense of what happened here with Wisconsin. Again, they ended up with their 4th quarterback of the year. They had 6 completions in this game. Their longest completion was thrown by their punter, who was their leading passer in this game. A fake punt was their longest offensive play, and yet they figured out a way to win the game in adverse circumstances against a really good team.
A really good team that, you know, I thought really was going to be able to try to make a run for this 12-team playoff because I thought they were that good, particularly on the offensive side. New defense was coming. But this is a team that's been desperate for this type of victory all year. You mentioned it early. Luke Fickle didn't forget how to coach. You mentioned that earlier today, and that's the truth. But they have just not been able to finish. And now to think about it this way, they're being led by young freshmen who sometimes don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And when you're going through what they went through for this at this time for the Badgers, sometimes those younger guys step up because it's like, hey, I don't know what I got to do. I'm just going to go out here and play as hard as I can. And that's what you saw from their playmakers today.
It's the innocence of a freshman, of true freshmen, is what they're finding, and it's given this team a spark. This Badger team had high energy. They played physical at the point of attack, and they didn't blink at any turn of adversity tonight in this game. It started raining. This is a very explosive Washington team, But these freshmen didn't care about anything, not the quarterback, on the defensive end of the ball. They just wanted to go out there and play the game that they know and love, and sometimes that's all it takes.
Held Washington 188 yards under its season average. I think it's fair to mention Washington's got all kinds of injury problems, too. Jonah Coleman played a very minimal role in this game. He is clearly banged up. We saw Denzel Boston going in and out. Damon Williams wasn't 100%. It's a damaging loss, though, for the Huskies.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Here's the thing. When you're trying to go from good to great, there's a few things that you have to understand and get used to. And one is how to handle success. You got to be able to handle success, and you have to understand how to dominate throughout the course of a game. This team early on was hanging on the fact of playing well in the fourth quarter. That doesn't always show up, especially when your stars are banged up. And this Washington team is going to figure out how to take the next level.
When they're good, they're really good. They average 45 points per game in their wins. They average about 8 points per game in their 3 losses. And Washington now 6-3, 3-3 in the Big Ten. Nebraska and UCLA going at it at the Rose Bowl. TJ Lateef getting the start for Nebraska in place of the injured Dylan Raiola. Lateef from nearby Compton got off to a great start. Tied at 7. Lateef to Emmett Johnson. And Johnson does the rest. 56 yards for the touchdown. Lateef completed his first 11 passes. Nebraska on top 14-7. Now third quarter, they're up 21-7. It's Lateef. It's Johnson. Down the sidelines for another score. Johnson totaled 232 yards from scrimmage. Nebraska up 28-7. But UCLA coming back. Nico Iamaleava to Anthony Frias. Nico threw for 191 yards and 2 scores. It's 28-21. But ensuing drive for the Huskers, it's Johnson getting the first down that seals the deal for Nebraska as they get the victory, avenging last year's loss in Lincoln. Josh Sims getting the post-game reaction.
Well, Coach, you said this week you were going to treat TJ Lateef like he was a veteran. Well, that was a veteran performance we saw from the true freshman out there today. Can you put into words what was on his shoulders today and how he delivered?
Well, I think you saw a battle of 2 great quarterbacks, and I thought TJ did an amazing job. And if you have any question about the confidence that we have in him, it's the last drive of the game. We're in 4 minutes and we're throwing the football. Nothing seemed too big. He played fast. Hey, TJ, get over here. They don't want to talk to me. This guy right here came back home. He did a great job. It was all week, though. It was never about him. It was always about the team, and the team had unbelievable confidence in him.
Just to be able to come back and play with my brothers, like, I love every single last one of those guys in white, man. And I couldn't ask for a better debut. I mean, like, this is a blessing.
Pretty cool. Kid from Southern California gets to go play in the Rose Bowl, his first career start. He played well, and, man, Emmett Johnson was fabulous in this game.
Yeah, Emmett Johnson, to me, is really what makes this team go. But all of a sudden, you start to think about what Lateef had the opportunity to do, had an opportunity to be the starting quarterback through practice and understand what's going to be expected of him, and he really raised his level of play. And then you have to give a lot of credit to the play callers as well to put him in position to make the plays he was able to make tonight.
About those play callers, I think that this is what Nebraska should be looking like, even if TJ Lateef wasn't the quarterback for this team today. They should be identified by their run game in this offensive line when they can take the pressure off of young quarterbacks and those playmakers. I thought Matt Rule and his coaching staff did a fantastic job of calling this game to set them up for success.
It'd be hard to find a player more valuable than Emmett Johnson in the Big Ten. Over 100 yards, receiving and rushing. First FBS player to do that this year, and a big part of the reason Nebraska is now 7-3 on the year. Let's check out Maryland and Rutgers. A couple teams battling to get to bowl eligibility, both with 4 wins coming in. Greg Schiano and company pick it up in the first quarter, no score. Second play of the game, Schiano did not like what this looked like. Malik Washington on the keeper, and there is
there's no one around.
Not even in the frame.
Secretariat there. 73 yards to the house, longest quarterback run for the Terps in 10 years. They're up 7-0. Ethan Kaliakmanis to Ian Strong. Huge game for him, Marcel.
Ian Strong has been fantastic all season long. They have the best receiver core and receiving room in the country, one of the best.
Caliac managed to strong his third touchdown of the game. That was a career high, makes it 28-17. Antoine Raymond had himself a day. 240 yards, the third most rushing yards in school history, most for a Big Ten back this season. He totaled it 41 times, punches it in here from 5 yards out, 35-20. Rutgers wins it. Win number 5 for Greg Schiano, Steve.
Well, we're a long ways from being what we want to be, but we're making incremental improvement. And that's all I asked them to do is let's just keep getting a little bit better every day. We're playing from behind. We got to catch up here. And we're getting better, but we got work to do. But I'm proud of them. You know, let up 3 points in the second half. That looked like real defense.
Agree on that. I mean, they started as shaky as you can start. Defensively, it's been a challenge all year, but the defense did step up, played a lot better late in this game.
Yeah, this defense was opportunistic where they played good defense when they needed to play good defense, just enough to get this win. But you have 69 plays of total offense, and Antoine gets 41 carries. Talking about carrying a load as a bell cow.
A little bit differently, and this is when you think about the way they were able to run the ball and have success doing that. It's kind of the way that he used to win the football game. They were going to run it last year, play outstanding defense. One of the things that happened today, you saw something that was, you saw some interceptions today, which you would like to get those corrected. But how about Maryland? You rush for over 300 yards and you still lose the game. That's something that is really going to sting when you look back at the film and understand exactly what happens there.
Our most rushing yards in a conference game in 7 years. Malik Washington had a huge game on the ground. He struggled through the air. It was his worst performance throwing the football as a college starter. But yeah, 5 straight losses now for Maryland after that 4-0 start. They head to Illinois next week.
Mendoza in trouble. It's out. Touchdown. Wow. Omar Cooper. Unbelievable. Give him the Heisman Trophy now.
We can confirm that Gus Johnson did survive the game-winning call. Omar Cooper Jr., a historic toe tap, giving Indiana its first win at Penn State, and it gave Fernando Mendoza a Heisman moment. His 4th career game-winning drive in the 4th quarter. Here was his head coach after the game.
You know, it's hard to play quarterback when you don't have very good protection. You got to keep the quarterback on rhythm, and that ball's coming out quick out of his hand. When you do that, good things happen. And when you hold the ball, bad things happen. And Fernando was just getting hit time after time after time, and never gave in, and got his composure back and made the plays at the end.
These are the types of wins, Brock Vereen, that will serve you well when you are able to think about what is coming at the end of November and into the postseason and the playoffs. So let's talk about that game-winning drive for Fernando Mendoza. I mean, Gus Johnson already gave him the Heisman.
Yeah,
but
it's already in his hand.
It reminded me of what happened at Oregon, where he threw a pick that allowed the Ducks to come back and tie the game, and then came down and won it on a game-winning drive. And it's that poise after critical errors that feels like we saw it again on display.
I learned something about Fernando Mendoza today. I learned he is as tough as they come. That's an aspect of his game he hasn't had to show because his offensive line has been solid. Credit to Penn State's defensive line. They got the better of the Hoosiers front today. Fernando Mendoza was getting smoked. Every single one of these highlights, he is getting his head taken off, it feels like, and he stands tall in the pocket. Right there's another one. Stands tall in the pocket saying, if me getting a helmet to my chest is what it takes to deliver this football where it needs to be, then so be it. And I cannot speak enough to how much resolve that shows and how much your teammates will love you for doing that.
It was unbelievable, the resolve that he showed. And again, let's remind everyone, Elijah Surratt, his #1 receiver, Waffle House, who is always open, did not play for the second week in a row. But it didn't matter because there were a bunch of other guys that stepped up. Obviously, Omar Cooper. But how about Charlie Becker, our new favorite receiver?
Let's introduce the world to Charlie Becker because let's be honest, you did not know who he was before this game, but we will all know who he is. He's a Hoosier legend after this performance. Number 9 isn't even guarding him because he's like, I don't know who number 80 is. Charlie Becker, a 6'4" frame. Probably started the season as the 6th wide receiver on this depth chart, but his number was called and he responded and he earned the trust of Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza as the game goes on. Look at that, climbing the ladder, making sure that heel touches the ground. What a day for Charlie Becker. Legends are made just like
Well,
this.
and we should mention he had 7 catches on the day. He had 7 catches all season coming into this game. So it is next man up. It's a cliche, but it is the real deal. I mean, congratulations to Indiana. They keep it rolling, and they've been finding different ways. They've got Crit Cignetti is checking every box. There's so many new historic things, including next week he could become the first Indiana coach to start 11-0 when they take on the Wisconsin Badgers right here on the Big Ten Network. Dave.
Let's get into the final drive. One thought on each and every team that played this weekend. Marcel, lead us off with those undefeated Hoosiers.
This is always an easy one, but it was a close call today. But gave the Hoosiers an opportunity for a signature moment, Fernando Mendoza a signature moment, and come out with the win.
19-0 now against unranked teams under Curt Cignetti. Iowa so close to a huge win.
Really, really close. And you think about the way they played. This was ended up being a tight game, a sloppy game, but they just didn't have enough to finish this game really offensively.
3 losses this year by a total of 10 points. Maryland falling again, Marcel.
Yeah, this was an interesting one. This Maryland team does one thing good every week. Today, it was rushing the ball. Have to figure out a way to get all the phases together and put it together for wins in the Big Ten.
10th loss in their last 11 conference games. Those wins have been hard to come by. Nebraska getting a road win.
Really a huge win. And you mentioned earlier, this is the way Nebraska should play the game. Running the football and being able to control the line of scrimmage really paid off for them tonight.
They are 4-2 this year in one-score games.
There you go. They've changed.
That label. Northwestern, tough one on the road against USC on Friday night.
Yeah, it was a tough one for Friday night, but really slightly disappointing from what we've seen the past few weeks from a play calling perspective, time management, things like that. I want to see Northwestern and the Cats put together a couple wins to end this season, get bowl eligible.
Need at least one more to get bowl eligible. They got Michigan at Wrigley Field coming up next week. Ohio State, Howard, yet another business as usual win.
Yeah, continue to go through it. And what they've done now, they're starting to get younger players more of the experience in these games. And again, that'll bode well for them as they get prepared to go on this playoff run.
Defense continues to excel. 9 games, they've given up 65 points this year. Oregon, a huge road win.
Yeah, this Oregon team really didn't flinch, came down to the end, had fantastic operation, some really big plays by their superstars to come out with another W, and this team continues to check boxes as the season comes to an end.
Quick turnaround for them. They get Minnesota at home on Friday night. Penn State, Howard, man, had it there for the taking.
Quite frankly, this is the best we've seen Penn State look in quite a long time, probably going back to non-conference. They have to continue to put some of these games together as the season continues to come to a close, but they need to continue to play the way they played today.
0-6 in conference play, first time in 22 years. They are winless in the league. So is Purdue, Marcel.
Yeah, this Purdue team, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but they are on the cusp of something. You didn't really see it today because this Ohio State team is just a juggernaut in itself. But Purdue and their coaching staff and players are on to something good. They have the opportunity to be a good team. Just have to finish out the season.
It's going to be tough at Washington, home against Indiana as they look to avoid a winless Big Ten slate. Howard, Rutgers, man, that was an important win for them.
Really a huge win for them, and it was really they played the football game the way we've seen them play in the past. Ran the football extremely well and played a lot better on the defensive side of the ball.
They have a bye, then at Ohio State, home against Penn State. Need one of those to be bowl eligible. Marcel, UCLA, tough home loss. They've gone on a little bit of a skid here after that great win streak.
Yeah, at UCLA, this team continues to show flashes that they can be a good team and compete in the Big Ten. Just have to find ways to put it together and get stops when they need stops on the defensive side of the ball.
At Ohio State next week, so it does not.
Good luck.
It'll be a tough one.
We're talking about that Friday night game. USC, pretty impressive win over Northwestern.
Really what they were able to do, and we're starting, they're gaining momentum with this SC team. I know that sometimes you look at them defensively and people are able to move the football, but they do enough offensively with the weapons they have, particularly wide receiver, to make a lot of plays.
They average 9.8 yards per play on first down.
Wow.
That feels pretty good.
Yeah.
That feels pretty good.
Puts you in good position for second down. Washington, man, tough loss. Sorry, Marcel.
I mean,
it's just the luck of the draw. We just alternate. Yeah.
The Huskies are going to have to find ways to deal.
Just drop the pen.
Deal with success.
I want to see him pick it up.
Huskies have to figure out a way to deal with success. I appreciate you picking up my pen.
Not a problem.
But still an opportunity to finish off the season on a high note. You got a few more games left. You have a big one in Oregon with the battle, the border wars, unofficially named the border war rivalry. So Huskies still have an opportunity to make a success of the season.
Well, let's finish this segment on a high note. It's the flip side of that game, Wisconsin getting a conference win.
Congratulations to those guys, finally getting a win. We knew what type of schedule they were up against. Talk about overcoming injuries. This is a team that desperately needed a win, got one, and we saw how excited this fan base got by rushing the field.
First win over a ranked team for Luke Fickle as the head coach of the Badgers, a sorely needed win for Wisconsin. Saturday standouts. Lead us off, Howard Griffith.
Oh, Posa, how about that, Mason? What an unbelievable game you had. Talking about being a freshman and coming up and playing big, I thought he did a tremendous job of really leading this defense, having them play with grit, as he mentioned. Ooh. That's what was missing. This young man stepped up and played well tonight.
Marcel, where are you going?
I am going with wide receiver Omar Cooper from Indiana. I don't care about the rest of the stats. I just want to talk about the one catch that's probably the catch of the year with 36 seconds left. Fantastic in the back of the end zone. I don't know if he got one foot or 2 feet. It didn't matter. It scored tonight.
Touchdown!
I am going with Emmett Johnson from Nebraska. He goes over 100 yards rushing, over 100 yards receiving. First Husker player to do that this century, and the first Big Ten player to do it since, wait for it, Howard, Kane Coulter of Northwestern.
Kane Coulter!
2012. Wow. Been a while since we've seen a performance like that in the Big Ten. Let's take you through the rest of the action around the nation. We know 1 and 2 in the Big Ten got wins, as did number 9 Oregon. Everybody in the top 10 won except for BYU, which fell to number 8 Texas Tech in Lubbock. You see, Texas and Oklahoma were off, and that brings us to our auto owners insurance game leaders. We are down to 3. Three undefeated teams in the world of major college football, and 2 of them from the Big Ten, Ohio State and Indiana, along with Texas.
It's going to be very interesting this week as the committee starts to make some decisions. Be interesting.
All right. That's your final thought?
Well, high and tight. Emmett Johnson, high and tight all the time. When you see him carrying the football, he's always protecting the rock.
I think we saw today why you have to play the game. The rankings don't matter. The numbers don't matter. Got to play the game on Saturday.
We'll do it again next week.